Hello, Coachy. Hello, Tuke. Hello, Orimion.
Where are we? I don't have. I'm going to show something on screen first, but I need to resolve this issue first.
I'm not even BNG tuber though.
Well, hello, Kochi. I was defusing a bomb on you, Ponpon. I'm a hero. Kochi. You're so silly, but when I do it, then it's not okay. Quote, I feel like Kochi Star isn't a meme, it just is. Don't you agree, Kochi? I can still explode. Jaded. Of course you can. Not only is the Kochi Star just, the whole embodiment of Kochi just is. Yeah. If you... Kochi is here early today. Kochi got excited that Ponpon was going to do a collab, but it wasn't a collab with Kochi. One day we will have a collab with Kochi. It might take months, but someday it might happen. I've done
For
more.
a moment I wonder,
Yeah.
what would I collab with Coachy?
Coachy
Let's get
Jannertto
free
collab, that sounds interesting. I mean, that sounds reasonable. Coach will collab with everyone except for me.
What exactly do you know about game production or Unity? And do you have interest in the field, I guess?
I don't think... let me collab with you both right now. Kochi, do you want to join this project? What a mess that would be. Kochi, you can't ask Kochi whatever he knows, because he will claim he knows everything and is best in everything.
Well, I have a very easy way of finding out if it's true or not, I suppose.
Well, yeah, the thing is, he also does not want to prove that he knows it. Like, I want to do a race against Kochi Inspire or something, but he says that he's going to win and he's the best and everything, but he doesn't want to do a race at all.
Funny enough, he has claimed on his stream, or their stream, that I would probably be better at them at Resident Evil than...
Ooh.
I guess I have very different experience of Kochi than you do.
Yeah, I think Kochi is acting differently towards me compared towards you. Kochi knows how to code. Yeah, that's what his name is. Code-she. I know Unity. I know Unity too. It's a thing. I only RPG Maker like a true professional. That is true. An RPG Maker, that's the best software. I've used Game Maker. Game Maker version 8 mostly. It's quite a capable engine. I mean, to be fair, Undertale is made in it, so maybe not version 8, but
for what it is built, it is quite capable engine, yes.
Which one did you say?
RPG Maker.
No, I was perhaps, I don't know. I was referring to Game Maker by
I do not know that engine.
Yo-Yo Studio. It's a very generic name. Game Maker Studio is what it's called. It's what it's called now. It wasn't called at the time. I guess they have created their own. Originally made by Mark Overmars, and then owned by Yo-Yo Games. It's British. No, it was originally Dutch, but then was bought up by a British studio. So you can program in British English if you want. You can also program in US English too. It changes like what the function name for color is. I mean, they could just have made an alias, because you have to compile the game before you can run it anyway, so they could just have made it an alias that converts it over to the other at compile. And then you don't have to choose. But I guess the nice thing about choosing is also it will auto-complete to your preferred one.
So Game Maker is a 2D engine.
Yes, it does have 3D capabilities, but very limited. It is what Undertale is made in, if I'm not mistaken.
If I remember right, Undertale isn't necessarily very mechanically demanding game.
No, but it's a well-made game.
I do not speak of the quality of the product, and for what I have seen, yes, it is well. It has high quality standard, but
Let's check here. But actually got it. Yeah, it says Game Maker Studio. Let's see which version it is though. I guess Game Maker Studio doesn't really come in versions, does it?
then again, being technically very simple makes quality implementation much easier.
Because I think the Rayman fan remake of the first game is also made in Game Maker. Like a game like the first Rayman game would be possible to make in Game Maker. I mean, technically you should be able to do like everything that is like sprite based and doesn't utilize too much effects, unless the effects are sprite based too. So like you would be able to do as a game like Undertale and Rayman, but you wouldn't be able to do like you probably could, but it would probably take a lot of effort to make more like a Monster Train, which I also played, which is also 2D. Well, it does have a bunch of 2D elements, but if you ignore the 3D elements and just focus on the 2D, which the characters are like 2D, that is much harder to do because you have a lot of effects and stuff going on. Game Maker is very sprite based.
Hello, Longer.
Lonkerohattu.
Yes.
Yes.
Tentacle hat or a long drink hat, whichever you prefer.
Is it Lonker or a Lonkero?
Longero.
I see. Is Ohattu word or
Hattu is hat.
no,
would be a long drink hat.
hello, Todd. No, sorry, I'm kind of busy trying to resolve things here. It wants me to add it wants me to register a Microsoft account. Or register my Pon. My name is Pon the Dream Bunny. Do they accept my name? Well, I created an account, but like, how do I sign into an account? I guess I don't sign into an account because, well, I do sign into an account, but I don't use a password because people use passwords. It send a code to your email to sign in. Like, we already have a, like, they want like, oh, we want a key system to have an easier time to sign in so you don't have to deal with passwords. That sounds more complicated if I like change device, you know, if I want to sign in on a different device. And also, and so on and so on. Why not just use a password? I can understand why, because people are so bad at handling passwords. Like, can we use the authenticator instead then?
The shitty thing about authenticators is that if they are built such that you can actually recharge them.
What do you mean recharge?
As in, you need to buy a new authenticator.
No, I mean you can have you can have one on your phone.
Well, yes, but I suppose when you say authenticator.
Yeah, but it's just generic, whatever you can authenticate with.
Well, yeah, but authenticator used to actually be a separate device before smartphone was a thing.
Yeah, of course. I have one for my bank. Which is also a funny thing.
That sounds terrifying.
Why?
I don't know. I suppose there are fallback things from it, so it's not actually terrifying, but like, I don't know.
I don't.
Extra thing to take.
I sign in with the authenticator on my phone to sign into the bank because that's so much easier now. I always have my phone with me when I'm out.
I thought you mentioned as
but
you have an authenticator as a separate device for your bank.
I also have a separate physical authenticator as a second option to log into my bank.
Okay. My bank uses these number cards.
Number cards?
That they ship for free.
And then you run out of... Yeah, but I had that. I had a long time ago. But of course, that has...
I have the option of using my phone or my number card.
Yeah, I mean, number card does make sense. Like, as a... They probably have that as an option too if you ask for it, but... It's...
I see.
I don't know if they have, because it's not as secure, because if someone gets their hands on it, especially if they send it by mail, then it's kind of like out in the public depending on what kind of house you live in. In an apartment building, when they send it through the door, then it's behind a locked door, but a lot of people who live in villas usually have an unsecured mailbox that anyone could access, which no one does, but like, I mean, there's like probably a situation where it happened, but I haven't had an issue with it. It's not really a thing where people steal from mailboxes. You can't really get much out of it. And therefore you shouldn't put stuff in it where you can let people, like number cards. This is why you have to go to a post office to pick up important stuff. But anyway, I should put this on screen. I don't know. I don't remember where if you want to see my screen.
I don't remember how it went, but I think you needed to authenticate the new card with the last one or something. Like, use the number from the last card to actually activate the new one.
Yeah, I mean, is at least
I haven't done it in a while, so I don't actually remember, but...
one step towards safety.
Thanks for the system check, longer.
Why am I not seeing anything? Okay, there's
What do you
one
mean?
window.
Ah.
There's another window. Beautiful.
Window.
I mean, do you want to see my screen, or I don't know what you're doing on your side?
I'm gonna work on the tile things, and I can help you through my second window if you need some.
Yeah, that's fine. We just have our own windows.
Yeah, we do different things.
Yeah.
And we concentrate on
Okay,
different
so
things.
I created a bunch of tiles. I'm not exactly sure how materials and stuff works, though. How does material works in Unity? There we go. Materials. Can I edit the materials?
Yes, though I don't know if you can edit the materials of the FBX.
Why does this feel so much more limited than Unreal Engine? This just feels so different. It is different, of course, and it's still probably better, but coming from Unreal Engine, where you import a 3D asset, 3D model, and then just, okay, here's the 3D model materials. Like, there's a mesh, the material, there's skeleton and stuff, there's the separate parts, and it's in the Unreal Engine format, ready to be run and compiled. So all 3D...
personally.
All 3D assets are of the same format. It converts it to the correct format, and it's correct.
The Unreal files get screwed over by Git so hard.
That, I mean, they are... That I understand, because they're not just plain... Well, they are...
They are plain text, but nothing understands what the fuck it's trying to say. Apparently, after resending, not even Unreal sometimes, which is odd.
I can understand assets like 3D models and pictures, but materials, it should be fine.
I don't remember what specifically got screwed over by it, but...
Especially that people are using it for creation, so...
Yeah, Unity uses much more generally used file types. Doesn't change everything to its own file things.
Well, the...
If you press the arrow next to the thing in the, what is it, the project folder in the next to large image, or the
do you mean the...
image in the
Here
file
we go.
explorer thingy.
Mesh. Oh. Okay, so can I...
So that's, so you need to, for you to edit them, you kind of need to make a new material, or I do not know if there's a way to edit the FBX material. I mean, I guess you would probably want to
Trying
do
to
that
sync,
in Blender
like...
anyways, but...
I'm trying to think like how it works in other sort of way. This feels so weird. I haven't dealt with things this way. I guess it makes sense, but normally when I'm using it in software, it usually converts the format to the local software format.
Well, that is
Instead of like
in practice converted into local.
So like when you get a model, you have the model's own material, and then you can just. So if I want to, because I don't know if the material is correct. How can I look at?
What do you mean by that?
How can I see what the material? Because the material has two textures. What are the textures? Oh right, the textures are here. Are they even using these textures?
Material definitely seems to have some texture to it.
It's very brown for some reason. The textures are all much more yellow. So yeah, if I place this in the world, it does show up with the correct color.
Oh, it might not be lit in the display for some reason.
That's a bit weird. It has some light. I mean, it's not pure black at least.
Yeah, there is a difference between. Good point.
It seems like it's lit, but very weakly.
Yeah. That's neat sound.
Oh, very close. Yeah. Because one thing is there's an issue in yeah, even though Unreal Engine does convert the format, it does not do it perfectly when I export it from Blender, because for some reason it thinks the roughness is metallic. I don't know why it makes that mistake. I don't know if that could be because Blender is doing the error, not Unreal, and that's why I want to say check the map here.
That might be an export. Oh yeah. Does Unreal handle the importing of wholesale? Or does it take the FBX files when you need to?
Unreal takes the FBX file and then converts it to its local format. So I can see that it is using the texture here for the base map. And then it has a bunch of other stuff here. Where is it like roughness? Is it called smoothness?
It might be smoothness.
What's the scale factor of the material smoothness? What is smoothness? And also, why is there a square? So okay, so I can see where the texture goes in. So there's a square here next to base map. There's also a mask, a normal map, and so on. But why is there no texture for metallic smoothness square?
Because this specific material type does not contain such.
Oh, it's a specific material type.
Well, yeah, you can make your own if you want.
Well, considering it doesn't support what I wanted to do, I guess I have to make my own.
I mean, there are other options, other material type options.
Okay.
That already exist. That one is using high definition render pipeline lit.
Well, yeah.
There's like a way to unlock them to be edited there.
That's something it must have decided, because that's certainly not part of the FBX file.
Well, yes, of course.
Yeah, so it just has decided it uses this one with no option to change.
I wonder if there's some sort of default or if there's some.
Select shader, edit shader. Select. Oh, so the shader. This is the code. Is the actual shader, not the material. Oh, nice. So I just have to learn how this works.
As it is with everything.
Yeah. Also, I should pair according to Jaded. 70 minutes ago, but still. There you go. Posture check. But I like sitting weird. Also hydrating. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't really keep up with chat. Yeah, I see you chatting a lot here, Todd. I can't. Sorry, I can't like read all of these. Quotes depends on currently wearing in real life. I should pink more of a 7 pink. I'm not prepared to the description. Oh, Todd, how are you going to survive this? Oh, you got. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to try. Like, we got a remove copy. Like, create material preset. Can I just create a material here instead? Tile material. How does this work? Can I open this? No. Oh, okay. Here I can select. Okay. Okay, so it works. Okay, it works very differently. And there goes my. That's again. Breezy. Breezy. I don't like the speed 3. What is this? Why is it not terrain lit? Let's switch to terrain and. Oh, this has nothing. I want like. We need to learn how this. I don't know how this works. So it takes this texture, but I don't want this. Oh.
Okay. Oh yeah, I just remembered.
Okay.
Go upwards in the list.
Okay.
In the inspector.
Yeah.
And there might be something like opaque or something.
Yeah, there's opaque.
There is a chance that there's metallic or something like.
No, this is only opaque and transparent.
Okay. Rendering pass.
Well, it doesn't seem to be. Speaking of using non-standard terms, what is roughness in Unity? Unity material roughness. I thought roughness was a standard term. What is the roughness map spot? Another render engine, but this is a PBR material. The closest thing to a roughness map is the metallic map. Oh, where the alpha channels used for smoothness. I think what that shade still takes roughness. Just create a material and when it drop down to. This is you have to invert your values for if roughness in the alpha channel of the albedo automatic blah blah blah. What is this? Pon. does not like the mess this is creating for me. I guess we're creating a prefab.
Yeah.
I guess that is what Unreal Engine is creating for you, a prefab out of your things. What is a prefab? There's a scene prefab. What is that?
Scene prefab.
Yeah, what else would prefab be in this list? There's no search.
In what list?
If you create a new item.
In where?
Well, in the folder.
I'm so confused.
Me too.
Ah, okay, that's what you mean. Okay.
It's the only place I can find a prefab.
Well, it is the only place where you find the prefab. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I just want to...
Commonly, you would make prefabs by just drag and dropping the thing from a scene into the folder structure.
Okay, so... that seems weird, but sure. I mean, still the material is wrong because it doesn't have... It doesn't allow me to set the... And I say like, well, can you use metallic? I can't do metallic either. There is a smooth as metallic values, but I can't set that texture. I made a texture and I wanna use it. Because of course the metallicness and the roughness of an object isn't consistent throughout the whole object. That's why texture maps are used.
Yeah, but that is true, yes. But if you can get away with not needing a map for that, it does make the object much, I presume, faster to render.
Sure. That does make sense.
Different tools for different purposes, but yeah. Apparently the standard material has metallic texture available. What standard? This is just standard material, okay.
So, but it also feels kind of weird that high definition, whatever RP stands for, would not allow you to do render pipeline would not allow you to do complex
I believe it is
textures
in some of them.
Yeah, but still, shouldn't there be like one that allows you to do everything?
That's, I presume, not very optimal.
Fair enough, I guess. I mean, Unreal Engine allows you to do basically everything without any specific type of shaders, and Unreal Engine is running better than Unity on my old computer than mine technically. But that could be because the Unity games were badly made and the Unreal Engine games were goodly made.
Yeah.
That is probably the reason, because it was probably a better studio who knew what they were doing with the...
I have also run into Unreal games that have broken, well, man, near frozen the game.
I mean, yeah.
No, that's not very difficult at all.
So I feel like performance-wise, from my experience, it doesn't really affect performance much. If I
Probably
were
there
to
are
look at
things you can do.
Spyro, for example, where you have a metallic with reflective effects, and a lot of textures, high resolution textures, and it's running fine on a computer that yeah.
There is a thing to be said about Spyro, though.
I need to know
It
which games are actually Unity based.
Spyro is kind of level design level, designed to be optimized to PlayStation 2. Is it
No, PlayStation 1.
PlayStation 1? Even more so. So you kind of need to screw up very, very heavily if you can actually make that lag.
I don't think that's relevant. I don't know.
It is to degree, because the level itself is designed to run on PlayStation 1. So there's a heavy lack of assets compared to more modern
I
games.
don't like. Well, I don't know which games I played on the computer that actually was Unity based. Now I think about it. But of course, the two primary games I did play. Well, I did play Spyro, and I mean I played Crash 4 as well. That is an original game, so for built-in Unreal Engine.
Well, I have a list of games that I have played that are made with Unity that have run quite well.
I mean, of course it runs well, but like.
And I know of Unreal stutter issue that is apparently rather well known. Beyond that, I'm pretty sure it's just
that should be
question.
that should be the Unity stutter issue, because Unity is by default 50 Hz. So
What does stutter have to do with 50 Hz?
if you update, for example, the position of something 50 times a second, and you're playing it, but with graphic, and draw the frame 60 times a second, that means 10 frames are going to be identical, creating stutter, which is the issue on the PlayStation Mini.
What I'm speaking of is that the game freezes for half a second because it suddenly loads something new that apparently half of the bigger Unreal Engine studios don't know how to fix for some reason.
I don't know what games I played this. Also, Rabbit and Steel is also a game maker, I think. Because it has game maker errors when I was modding it. But, well, I'm stuck at this step because I don't know what to... Because
I suppose simplicity's sake you could use the
just ignore it.
standard material.
Still, I find it's weird that still that a high definition would have limited effects. Should it be the opposite? The standard material should not have a metallic map, but the high definition should have a metallic map.
I am heavily of the opinion that this is a skill issue of sorts.
Yeah, I mean,
don't know if that's the case.
It could be because I don't know what to do. I mean, I guess that is really that is really the difference here. I didn't know what to do with everything being... Well, I could see what it looks like. What is the standard? There's a standard. Well, it still doesn't have a smoothness map, so but there's not an albedo. I don't know what that is. Oh, RGB and transparent. Occlusion. Don't know what that is. Doesn't even explain it. Detailed mask. Mask for secondary maps. Wow, thank you. What is this? Unreal Engine level of descriptions. Oh, metallic and smoothness. In why? Speaking of performance, why do you have to provide a texture with 4 channels just to use one of them? Oh my. It's probably a skill issue, but it still doesn't look good so far when I Well, so oh yeah, specular. Well, this is interesting.
Getting started with high definition render pipeline. Create a high definition render pipeline project from template.
Wait, what is this? Color, main texture, albedo, cutoff, alpha cutoff range, glossiness, smoothness. So, is there some kind of material? Is there like is the shader determine how it applies everything to material?
So, shader is a software that decides what color the pixels are, if I remember right. And from that you make the materials that...
Because it does have on the properties here that looks like what I'm after. Like it has properties glossiness, for example, and it says smoothness range. And that's basically what I'm after. I want to define the glossiness by a texture, not a range. So if I could just set this as texture. And then it does what I want. But I guess I have to create my whole own chain for that. So I guess it is possible. This is my current. This one has 12,000 lines. I mean, to be fair, there's multi-line comments, but yeah.
I find that materials are more sensible to code with the nodes.
Can I code this with the nodes?
Yes, though you do need the package from the package manager for that.
I don't know what that is.
If you go to the project files and there is the packages portion, right click that, and then there is a thing called view in package manager.
View in import right now, wait. View in package manager. Okay, this is a different view.
Then you need to go to the Unity registry. And there is a thing.
Refreshing list. Oh, there we go.
Was it called again?
Oh, is there like a extension you can add?
Yes, these are all extensions you can add. Something, in my experience, Unreal would have installed practically all of automatically, and you would need to go and
Yeah, that's probably
uninstall.
what it comes with a bunch.
Scriptable render pipeline core. No. Shader graphs, that's the one.
Shader graph. Okay, how do I manage? This package installed as a dependency.
Well, neat. In that case, how did you use those again? Create shader graph, high definition render pipeline, or whatever you wish to use, I suppose. Oh, there are subgraphs. Neat.
I didn't remember what you said, but it's probably somewhere here. Imagine having a search.
So in the project folder thing, you do the create.
Oh,
that
shader
you would do
graph.
for. Yes.
Let's shader graph, decaf fabric, I hair, blah 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 blah, blah, blah terrain.
Terrain is unlikely to be smart for this application.
I'm just going to create the arena one just to see what it's...
Yeah. I think shader, like the terrain one, has something to do with the like large terrains that you can like paint malform. And materials and textures you use with those.
Oh, no, it doesn't do that. Should be able to fix that. Let me check. Should be here, yes. And then I should set the there. And now let's change the size. It will update. That would be so beautiful, nice. So I guess I got it here then.
So did you want... what did you want for it? The surface map?
A texture?
Or the... Yeah. The roughness map.
Yeah.
Whatever it is in this.
It's right here. Problem is it doesn't take roughness, it takes smoothness instead. I don't know. I actually don't know what's more common in engines, if it's roughness or smoothness.
Me neither.
Well, I don't know much because, of course, Unreal Engine uses roughness. Blender uses it, but they are agreeing with each other a lot. Don't know why. But I guess they are really different from the rest. I guess Unity is more trying to follow the industry standard. Problem is the Blender is not, so...
I honestly have no idea.
Yeah.
Mostly know only on the coding side of things.
I only looked at the thing where I came to the conclusion that game engines is using their system, and 3D editors are using a different system, and yeah. And Unreal Engine decided to let's go with what the 3D editors are doing.
Well, I suppose it kind of makes sense now that they are kind of going towards movie making instead of game engineering.
Sounds, well, I would be reasonable if they always aligned themselves with. I don't think they've changed which the axis system.
Yeah.
And I guess the way Unity does makes sense. It's just a problem that 3D editor doesn't do it, so you can't make a 3D model for Unity. You can, but you know, you have to mess around with a bunch of stuff.
It is sort of preferable to do the materials in Unity for what I hear. Though apparently it somehow knows how to translate it to some degree.
I do believe that Unity, like, I don't mind if working in either Unity or Unreal Engine. Certainly, I'm certainly more used to Unreal Engine, of course, but I understand its problems. I definitely do understand. Well, I don't understand, but I will accept that it does have a lot of issues that Unity doesn't.
Unity has its own problems.
But Unity has its own problems.
Everything has its problems.
Everything has its own problem, yeah.
Universal constant. Everything has problems.
Yeah, for someone who has modded in Unreal Engine and utilized Blender a lot, everything just worked out nicely. But here I must mess around with so much more, because I still have to learn how to actually do things properly. But I'll get there.
Growing pains, I guess. Or learning pains.
I guess there really is a difference between how straightforward things are, so.
Fair enough. Don't disagree with the fact that
but
being straightforward would be nice.
It is, because they do have to. I don't know. As I said, I don't know where the issue is. If Blender is messing up what is roughness or metallic, or is Unreal Engine that messes it up. But it is very convenient. We make the model and material just important, and everything just works using Blender. But I think what Blender really needs is an option to change the axis system.
I mean, I would argue that such a relatively... what would I call it? Relatively small thing in a way should really be also part of the engine. Like,
it would be nice if the engine also had an option to change it.
Yeah. Because, well, at least I can't really imagine how it would be too difficult
they probably can't change it now because there's probably a lot of hard-coded stuff. Like,
I mean,
basically the physics engine will break. Well, it wouldn't break, but it will calculate things wrong on the wrong axis.
but I'm pretty sure you can already now decide which direction the gravity goes and whatnot.
Yeah.
You can literally go in and customize it.
Does it allow spherical gravity? Can I disable transparent alpha?
You can literally go and tell the gravity to be sideways because fuck you. And I suppose that makes sense because sometimes in games you want to switch which direction the gravity actually is.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. Like sometimes you like inverted gravity. That's not an uncommon feature in games.
Yeah.
There you go. I made a new material, but of course it doesn't preview material. Oh, I can apply.
I guess.
Yeah,
I guess like
it doesn't act as a material though.
that's not the material you have already.
No, how do I make it a material then?
So you need to make a new material, as you made the last one, and there's the shader.
Oh, then I choose the shader from that.
Yes.
Oh, I see. It's a shader material. Okay. Oh, okay. This is starting to be more like what I'm used to. Okay, nice. Okay, how do I then, in that case, allow it to choose the input?
So you right-click in the fragment, or so if you want to add new fragments into the input, you right-click between them,
Wait.
and then you can add new.
I don't want to add.
Input.
I don't want. Wait. No, I want to like be able to choose. Currently, I.
Left side.
Here it is. I don't have any settings on this one. Can't do any overrides. So I could. So I think like with this shader, I could create the base. And then I just choose which texture I want. So I don't want text sample text. Well, okay, wait. Do they call it? No, they do not call it the same. What is texture? They have those texture. Okay, just sample texture 2D, texture 2D assets. Okay, this T2. This might. No, it doesn't connect. Why would it? Input texture T. Oh, yeah, I'll try to figure stuff out here. Okay. But what? I'm getting confused. Okay, there's the input texture sound. Okay. But what doesn't tell me the. Okay. This outputs T2. And if I go here and change texture sample to this outputs a 4 of float, a vertex. Oh yeah, and that's where I. Okay, now I see. I see now. So this one goes here. And this one goes there. Okay. That makes sense then. So if I save these and then it updates here, I still don't have the option to change it to the asset. Expose push, but it's not an exposed property, so I need to expose it.
So that's if you want it to be editable.
Convert to property. Oh, there we go. I might have done it. There we go. Now it shows up. So that I can rename these to something more useful, like base. What do let's call it? Well, let's call it base color then. Color. And then I copy this and paste it. And this one goes into smoothness. But I want it to duplicate. No, I just duplicate the same. Okay, okay, plus here. Texture 2D and call it smoothness. Drop it in there. Place this one. Oh, there we go. Perfect. To debug Freepik, what? Oh, I'm gonna... Wait, can't I just drag this and drop this here? Oh, I did, I just missed it first time. Okay, this sand needs to be renamed to... Can I rename it in the editor instead? Because it should... I don't want to use R for... It's got S. Very creative. There we go, and then I take this and drop it here. So now I have a new texture for the sand tile, and then I can drop it onto this. Oh, where'd it go? Can we make the sun move around so I can look at the beautiful texture? Okay, maybe position doesn't matter, maybe rotation that help. Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah. Well,
That does look pretty, very pretty.
thank you. Let's try. All right, I need to. Which there was an option to export as a scaled down version, but there is an export with settings, but it doesn't export it properly then. Okay, there we go. I didn't want to open it, but okay, it's fine. Can I slow down the camera? It's way too fast. Again,
It's like
Unreal Engine has a setting
scroll
right there.
wheel.
I mean, scroll wheel doesn't change. Oh, there we go.
Shift scroll wheel.
I don't know what this is.
I always use the... Is it non-isometric? The...
I guess it.
No, I always use the isometric one, so I'm orbiting the thing, so I don't suffer.
What was the key for there?
So it just when you're in the scene, you scroll wheel, and that slows the camera.
Yeah, I wish I could orbit the other one, but like, I mean, scroll is short, slow movement, but like,
You need to right click and scroll. Sorry.
That doesn't change anything.
For me, it does.
It's still scroll. Like, scrolling is zooming, sure, but right clicking doesn't change anything. With
Oh, you need to right click and move it a bit, and then scroll wheel.
oh wait, so, or wait, so yeah, so. Okay, so that is the camera. Okay, fair enough. It's a bit hidden settings, but yeah, but it is right there, available at all times.
Yeah.
Actually easier to access when you know what to do. It's kind of more towards the Blender kind of deal of hidden settings, but easy to access. But yeah.
Suppose.
Yeah, let's get down to this like it's the sand. It's my beautiful sand. Tile of sand.
Sand tile. Definitely not sandbox though.
I guess I'm still messing around with.
Wait.
Yeah, all these changes, I will probably have a branch for that. Yes, let's create a new sort of big thing. So I was thinking like, might create a folder for shaders, I guess. Gonna be one, but still organizing it. I guess if a object has multiple, because you can just go and change the materials here too, so you don't have to drag and drop material. But you can do that too for the convenience. I mean, Coach is a fanboy regardless, yeah. Haha, I'm a smart bunny. Cheering 100 stream streak, Mechanica, that's crazy. That's like a third of a year.
There is the streamer I know who lets people decide a game they will try at that point.
You know, funny thing is, Mechalicas gifted me Monster Train to play. Has gifted me Monster Train 2 play. Technically, just gifted me the game with no requirements, but still, I wanted to be a nice bunny and play it too.
I mean, you have been enjoying it, so why not?
Yeah. I do still have my issues with it, so because it's a roguelite, so roguelite. I don't know what the actual term is to use here.
So light means that you have meta progression. Like means that the run is all there is to the run, and when that's done, nothing goes from that to the next run.
Okay, I guess it's more a roguelike than in that sense.
At least that is the
According to that definition.
I have heard.
Yeah, nothing for that. I mean, you do get like experience points and like unlocks and stuff like that, but yeah. But everything.
That might fall into the light category, but I'm not 100% certain.
But you don't keep any of the items from that run. You get new items.
That's not the point, no.
There's very little you like.
So you unlock potentially new starting characters, boosts for the next runs.
Basically that.
Yeah, so it's a light.
Okay, it's a roguelite. I don't know if it's technically the roguelite thing or roguelike, doesn't matter, rogue-ish. It's a random. It's the random elements like now you lose the game. I think Monster Train 2 has a wider variety compared to Rabbit and Steel, which is the two games I have played. I had played any other type games. I can't really speak of the genre as a whole. Rabbit and Steel is more limited, more structured for what you get and face. So, but it has a, but for some reason, despite it being more limited, it has a bigger issue with the randomness because basically, I've explained this before, and there are people who just don't understand my argument. I don't mind having random elements, but what I don't like is when you don't have a chance to win. Like, doesn't matter what you do, it's just a loss. And Rabbit and Steel.
So essentially, the guards are randomly decided against you, and you don't really have path to victory.
There's like one boss in Monster Train 2, which like hits 2 or 3 times. I don't remember. For some reason, I want to remember it was like 3 times, but yesterday it was like 2 times. Who also is really strong and just destroys everything. But you don't always get this boss, so if I don't get the boss, I win. If I do get this boss, I lose. And I can't do anything. So all I can do is I start a run, I can check which bosses are there, and if this boss is one of them, I can don't need to do this run. I can just restart it instead.
I wonder if that boss is some sort of gimmick boss, but I don't know enough of the game to even consider.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, that's. But I think Rabbit still has a bigger issue because in that game you have to deal damage to bosses but in that game you can dodge all attacks. So if you're good at the game, you can dodge all attacks regardless of how much damage you do. But the problem with the game is that depending which upgrades you get, your damage output varies a lot. And why this matters is because you have a hidden time limit for how quickly you can defeat the boss. If you take too long, the boss starts doing unavoidable damage, and you have like 3 to 5 hit points or something, depending on which difficulty you run. And so, yeah, the game might just not give you the option to do enough damage, and then you just game over because you can't defeat the boss fast enough. That's my experience with the game.
I have been sort of confused about that as a mechanic in RPG games, to be honest.
If they just didn't have the unavoidable attacks, then at least the battle would take longer, but at least you could defeat the boss eventually if you manage to dodge all attacks.
Now that I think about it, it might just be such a simple thing that Ragefinder people don't want to be too long in the raid, and then the game makers are just, okay, we soft time limited, and then if the players don't win the boss at this point, they're practically get just instantly decked.
Yeah. And then they have to start over because you lost their run.
Yeah.
And there are like some items in I got one combination in Rabbit and Steel which is really powerful, and I did so much damage, but I did a mistake and lost the run, and it kind of feels useless to play the game unless I get that combination. But getting that combination is very low chance of getting, so I don't know. Well, I had someone's comments like that, but I like to play a game when I'm not just handed the win. Like, yeah, okay, you didn't understand what I even argued in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't. I want to check. I want to fight for the win, but I don't want to be in a situation where I just will lose because the game just didn't give me what I needed.
This kind of part of the roguelites allure in a way the replayability, but yeah.
I don't mind having a situation where I just don't have what it needs to actually defeat it, and I will lose. But then I get the progression to get new stuff, so I can actually defeat it later on. That's fine. You do not get any progression in Rabbit and Steel, though, except for like visual stuff. So you get to you have a set number of bosses. You have a set number of bosses you had to defeat, and if you manage to defeat one of these bosses, you can choose to force that boss to be your first boss, but the other bosses are still random. So like you have that control that you can unlock, but other than that, you don't really unlock anything. So therefore, you're just losing because you didn't have the tools, because you weren't providing them. It doesn't feel great because it's just purely random.
Yeah. Reminds me of this card game my mother plays quite often. I don't remember what it's called, but essentially the idea is that you have like essentially piles of cards, and the top one is turned face to you, and then you need to try and stack them in such a way that you get all of them one types in a line.
Yeah, I think I know which
in one stack, and then you can discard that, and you can only put like number smaller cards.
Yeah, you
in
have
the
to
pile.
go in a number sequence,
Yeah.
alternating color.
Yeah.
So there's some
probably.
limitation to what you can do just to make it a bit harder. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it is possible that the cards are placed in such a way it's impossible to win.
Yeah.
But that is a low chance for it to happen, and it's not really designed. Like, it's like no one like if it was a digital game, they would. In that case, I would argue no. You have to make sure that it's actually winnable. But if it's a physical game, you can't really make such checks. It just ends up how it ends up.
Yeah, but someone designed the game that way that it is automatically losable.
Yeah, but I mean, it's such an old game. And I don't think they took that into consideration because it's such a small chance for it to happen.
I'm relatively certain it came up at some point, but
Yeah, of course. But I don't think they cared.
I don't either, but I suppose we can kind of master the same argument here that the game maker clearly didn't care because it's still there.
I don't feel like this is like it's a nice point, but I don't feel it's irrelevant because there's a difference between a physical game where no one is controlling how it ends up to a digital game where the game maker have full control to set up checks for it to not happen. Like if you want such checks in this physical card game, you would have set up such complicated rules for the person to shuffle the deck in and stuff that it would just be annoying and no one would care about doing that. Perhaps the designer of the card game set up a bunch of rules like that, but no one cared about them because it was too complicated to keep track of.
Or then just nobody cared about the other losers.
Yeah.
For a reason or another.
I mean, yeah, like those go kind of hand in hand. Yeah. But yeah, probably not, but it is a possibility. For example, if you take the what is it called, Minesweeper, the one developed by Microsoft has it so that you cannot lose on your first turn. Since if it generates that board, and I think there's two rules. I don't know if they use both rules. One is that if you actually click on a mine, it generates a new board, or I don't know if any of the games did that, but what some of the versions did was it then moves that mine to the top left corner. Unless there was a mine there, then it moved it to the second one. Unless, of course, you clicked on the top left corner, then yeah, but yeah, it basically cycles through until it finds a free spot. So you cannot lose on your first click. However, it does have errors where you will get 50-50 situations, so that you cannot plan out which one to go for. They have not resolved that, and so that's a situation where you can just lose without it being your fault. I do think they should fix that, but I don't know how you would even fix that. I made a table for the tiles. But you probably have to view this in a table viewer. Is there like, yeah, you should be able to open it in Obsidian, I guess. Or maybe I can view it in GitHub actually.
Table.
Yeah, I created in the MD format, whatever that markdown format that Obsidian is using. See here, where is it? Tile data. Yeah, you can view it in GitHub. It shows it correctly. I gave an ID number to each tile, and then I specified which. Okay, it's not fully correct, but it's just a test. See.
That might actually somewhat solve an well.
It tells basically which. So tile 1 can have tiles. So B1 can have B3 and B4 north of it, for example. So it's not like fully correct, but it's getting there.
So where did you make it? There. Okay.
Yeah, in the tiles folder. I thought it was fitting.
Yeah.
So like north of 1 and 2 could have 3 and 4. South of 3 and 4 can have 1 and 2. East of 2 and 4. This is trying to figure out. There's I could put together HTML file that you can.
So is the note it southwest the facing of the tile?
It's the edges, yeah. Of its original, or I don't know what its original rotation would be. It's whatever I did in plantation. Oh, is there an option to? Is there a way to is there a reset camera option in Unity?
Don't necessarily think so.
I want to see which way it faces by default. Unity scene reset camera position and rotation, I guess.
I guess the first thing that comes to mind is create a new scene, but
yeah, a bit overkill, kind of maybe. To reset the properties of the default values. Well, don't want to go that far, but
apparently it is C positive.
I can see something positive with that. Sorry about that.
Am I complaining?
There's a okay. Oh no, okay. So there is a camera. Yeah. Which is facing on the side.
The camera is facing at C positive, and the scene camera is facing at C negative from C positive.
But now my scene camera is the same as a game camera. So from this person, okay, let's see now. So this is where the camera faces, and it faces this tile this way. How does it look like in Blender? So I know which way is north, south, and everything. But well, that would affect what the type positions are, of course. How would I determine? Why does it look so glossy? should have a... Oh, the reason why it looks so glossy is because Blender is using roughness, not smoothness. So I need an invert. There we go, now it should look correctly. It also depends, did it also invert? I did not make an easy shape to look at it. I think it should be that way. Can I view the wireframe of this thing? Wait, there are options here. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go, that should help me determine. Okay, so the way you're viewing it, is basically 180 degrees rotated then. According to the game camera. Okay, so this is facing south, this is facing north in that case. That's no problem, I can work with that. So north is that way. Well, in that case, now that I know that, so blending. Okay, so the blended camera by default is facing south. The in-game, and then I would say that the in-game camera is facing north, unless you want it inversed. But I do want plan that north should be up on the screen when you're playing the game. Doesn't really matter what it times though. Although I did create them with a normal view of in Blender, which would mean the inverse in Unity. So I wouldn't mind if we could have set negative as north. Since that would mean it aligns with Blender, and then that will make it easier for me to make tiles. I can specify that in the file too. So we always have that information, which is the north, east, south, west. There you go. How about that? Because then I also don't have to recalculate these times.
I mean, how it is ever essentially set up, kind of how to put this? Because the north, east, south, west is essentially just us rotating the game object 90 degrees on their vertical axis. Unless we want to do something else with that.
I'm not sure I've looked along with that, but would you be okay if north is minus Z?
Doesn't really change my day, so yes.
Okay, then that should work with what I've written so far.
It is an appearance change that...
It's just which direction the camera is facing in the end.
Well. So, jet is north, aka up from the camera, because it's top-down game.
It's like it's not fully top-down, it's at an angle, but yeah, mostly top-down. But yes, given it. I would like it's instead of having it fully orthographic, which they call isometric here. Is it isometric and specific orthographic?
I have no idea.
Isometric versus orthographic. It is simply complicated. Oh no. Orthographic is a projection where parallel lines are kept parallel. This includes elevation plans axonometric. Isometric is a specific orthographic projection. Yes. Okay. According to TCO on Reddit. Which is just a random user, of course. But if we check on according to Monarch Innovation.com, they do agree with that statement. Yeah, they just totally mentioned TCO on right now. Okay, so following this, because I got the term perspective and orthographic from Blender, which again is using the correct terms. Unity is using incorrect terms. Darn you, Unity.
When they have said what?
In the top right corner of the camera, you have it says persp for perspective, of course, which is correct. You click on it, or the mode you prefer to use, it says ISO, which I doubt stands for anything other than isometric, and this is not an isometric view. It goes to orthographic view. You can make it isometric, but it is not isometric. Like, it's orthographic.
I don't know.
And would you know it? Do you know what Unreal Engine calls it? They call it orthographic, which is what it is. Kind of funny.
I'm starting to feel like Unreal Engine has more graphical people in their design crew.
It is possible.
Might have more coding people.
Yeah, because when it comes to the coding part, it seems like Unity has that stuff figured out. And that could also explain why Unreal Engine is using the other axis mode that Blender is using, and other 3D development, like 3D creative tools. Those are the graphics part, so they deal with that system, while Unity and a lot of other assets program is using the other axis orientation, which is more the programming part of it. That actually would make sense and explain a lot of things. And that is quite interesting.
2p. And explains a hell of a lot, I
do like that description. But Unity does have much better descriptions.
And you haven't even gone to the API yet,
Yeah.
as far as I know.
If I say something random like ray tracing mode, it says describes how the acceleration structure associated with that renderer will update for ray tracing. It does give a bit of explanation here, because first off, describes how the unnecessary words doesn't. You can't use describes in the description. Like, I mean, you can, but it's meaningless. But the acceleration structure. There we go. That's some information. And then we have associated with a renderer. Makes sense, because that's it. Will update for a ray tracing. Yeah. So we got most of this information is useful.
Here we come to a extra funny thing. Apparently the high definition render pipeline is being made by like separate team in the Unity structure.
That can explain why things are different.
They might have their own standard for things.
Yeah, that could also be.
Yeah.
Apparently Unity is moving from having the high definition render pipeline and what is it called? Universal pipeline into having just universal pipeline that is capable of doing what the high definition render pipeline now is capable of.
That would be nice, yeah.
And the reason that these are separate is that they
already forgot the name. Universal pipeline is more for if you need to make a game for PlayStation, mobile, PC and Xbox and whatnot. Whereas I presume high definition render pipeline and Pwn don't necessarily go well together, but you can make them work, presumably.
This game wouldn't really be a console release anyway.
I mean, it could be if the console world wasn't so difficult to actually release on.
Yeah, that's fair too. But like compared to Unreal Engine's descriptions, which is like it will be like this defines which ray tracing mode is used. Like, yeah, that's very obvious because they have a lot of checkboxes, and it says a name with the checkbox, and all the description is enables this the feature mentioning it the exact same name that it says next to the checkbox. So what's the point of the description? What's the point of the pop-up?
Makes made by even worse by the fact that they don't, at least last I checked, really have an API where people could read what the fuck it means.
I think
Which makes me sort of guess that there's a bit of a communication issue why so many people don't really know how to optimize the Unreal Engine to avoid the lag spikes I mentioned earlier. Apparently they are a rather common known issue with the engine.
Okay. I tried to find a comment. I found my comment where I quoted someone. It's dumb of Unreal Engine to not do X, which I said, yeah, it's Unreal Engine, it's dumb. It's a dumb engine. It's easy to do for me to understand and to have to do a bunch of stuff, but it's still a dumb engine. For example, when you use the material editor, which is node based, and you which of course easy to use, which is designed around, but because it's the graphical engine, not the programming engine. But like, if you want but you can search for a node you want to add. The name of the nodes in the search bar and the name of the nodes that is on the screen are different. So one example I showed was, if you want world position and you add that node, it adds a node that is called absolute world position. But you cannot search for that. Why not just call it absolute world position in the search? Yeah, well, the one that I was actually looking for was the when I was creating a function for Unreal Engine, I hovered over an option which I shared on a server, and the name is pure, and you can enable that if you want. If you hover over it, it then gives you the description of force this to be a pure function ? Doesn't
I feel like I have heard this story, but I don't remember it.
I probably mentioned it before. Does not explain anything. But the worst part is, it is because of course it's Unreal Engine. That is not even what a pure function is. A pure function is, as far as I understood it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's a function that always will return, I'm not sure if random is allowed, ignoring random, a function that will always return the same value. If you always insert the same value, it will not rely on any external values. Aside from what you gave it, of course.
I have never heard of this description besides you.
Okay.
So I guess it's a sort of a static method where the flow isn't reliant on other variables besides the one that you put in.
To be fair, I haven't heard about pure function outside of Unreal Engine, so... But the one I did, because I wanted to know what it is, I tried to look it up, and that's how I found out what a pure function is, but I haven't heard it being used anywhere, so...
I mean, math calls functions the thing where x
that's
is
right.
something. So I guess they could have ripped the function part from there, and then pure meaning that it's just sort of one variable that you add to it. I don't know. There is a chance that Math World calls it pure function, but I'm not a math expert.
A pure function in Unreal Engine, if you create your own function, because this is part of their blueprint system, so it's node-based programming. Do you like node-based programming? Anyway, so
apparently Wikipedia has an article on pure function. Please continue.
Yeah, I think that's where I found it. So you for a thing to run, so you have the main path of execution. So that's how the node programming works. So as it gets to a function, it runs a function. You can have, so a pure function, a non-pure function must be run, and then all its outputs are cached, and then you can fetch those outputs whenever you need them. A pure function does not have to be run. It will run when you request a value from it. This means that a function can use external stuff or not, it doesn't matter. So a pure function will require less memory because it doesn't cache anything, but requires more processing because it has to run every time. But anyway, so that has nothing to do with what I read up about viewer functions.
Apparently, well, the oldest source in Wikipedia for peer function was 2003. Not a old thing in a way.
Yeah. I guess this is right. No, it should be here. That should be correct. If it is, like, yeah, I should probably create a HTML that can edit, read the table entries, and then check that, because two entries should have each other for the tile data.
I should honestly probably know more about those things.
Which one? Tiles or your function?
Tiles.
Well, wait, why did it turn out gray here? Why does it show up red here? Is it red because there's an issue, or is it red because it's a missing game? Okay, I will delete it.
Oh, so the red means that you have deleted the prefab that it was tied.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Shurakotoba, thank you for following. I appreciate it. Doing some programming here, so I might not be able to keep up the chat because I'm trying. So much singing going on here.
I don't think you have done a line of programming today, but fair enough.
Shh. Don't talk about that.
No.
Wait, I can't change its material. Select.
You can drag and drop the new material to it and it will change it, but...
Okay, but like, that's not... Oh. I want to... I mean, yeah, but I was thinking like... No, I can't... I can do that here, but I want to like... What if an object has two materials?
What did you say?
What if an object has two materials? Because here's the thing, for the convenience of me making tiles, for the transition between grass and sand, for example, it would be very convenient to just have the sand tile, like a partial of it, so it just uses the same material as the regular sand tile. And then it's just half the tile is the grass material, so it will have two materials. But if I have to drag, unless I can pick which one to replace, but it seems like this would be a stupid way to choose the material for the thing.
how a thing did that, a tutorial, tile set tutorial I have been working with did that. Was it created its own shader with multiple base materials, and it would change like the path in between to go from one to the other.
I mean, that sounds very complicated, but sure.
It's kind of easy, yeah.
I want to make this simple. Okay, I want to change it to. I want this item here. Okay, if I create a prefab of this. No, I still can't change its material. I want it to have a different material. I want to be able to choose which material it should have in the inspector, like I can set anything else. I do not want to drag and drop a material in the previous screen. Okay, let's see what it says. Unity scene change material of object. Okay, now that's programming part. I don't want dynamically change it. I just want to change it.
I'm sort of thinking of things, and without shader programming, I don't think there's a simple solution there.
But I mean, like
you could make it so that the Blender.
I'm not sure if you're talking about what I'm talking about.
The Blender asset itself, the FBX itself, should have multiple regions, like multiple materials for itself, and then it should be zoned for multiple different materials.
I mean, I could just create one now and just to test it.
Yeah, but so you would need to have an FBX model that has regions set up for different materials, and then you could switch those materials to be the ones that are on the neighbor.
I am confused by your explanation, but I will test it.
So in Blender, you can have a single mesh possess multiple materials. And when you make an FBX out of that, it will possess the different regions for different materials.
I mean, yeah, a vertex. No, a face has a material assigned.
Yeah, and then Unity, last I checked, can use that.
Oh yeah, I hope so, because that would be very, very inconvenient if I couldn't.
Yeah.
But the question remains, then in the inspector, when I have this object selected, I will have a list of all of the materials that it has. Currently only has one, so it shows one, but it would in theory show multiple. But how do I change the material here? I know I can drag the material onto the object in the view, but I want that. But I want to choose in the inspector or something.
In what? Okay. Is that the FBX material?
No. Well, yeah, yes. This one is because it's the HDRP lit and not the custom one.
Put the new one in, I think.
Well, yeah, I can do.
Then it makes it easier.
I mean, I can't drag it here. It doesn't allow me to drop it here. Unless I should drop it as a separate component.
You need to drop it beside that one. It's kind of weird that way.
Okay, so I can replace it. But how do I choose? But what if it has two materials then? Then I'm just dropping a third material. Which one is it replacing then?
It has a system, if I remember.
Oh, this is. I don't have this from me, naturally. This is very confusing. Like, I can understand if I take the FBX file here and I wasn't able to change material because this is a whole thing. But when I have the assets here, which I can change the material on by just dropping the material on top of this thing, why can't I just... And also dropping it as a new component and then it deletes the old component, I guess, or replaces it because it's acting weird. Now it unlocks it and I can choose stuff here, but why can't I just do it from the start? Also, no, I can still not choose it because this is not a material, this is a shader.
Okay, so the thing is that if you want to select a different shader or a different material for the...
it does not... Oh, no, I see.
Unity game object by default only stores one material. So you would need to have a script that then decides on the different
I didn't
ones.
really listen to what he said, but I'm not so...
Or we need to make different prefab for different...
Oh wait, here we go.
One.
Okay, let's recreate this. I can add it. I can show it to you. It got... No, I think I found it. Here, it is here. It's on the mesh renderer materials. Element 0, material interface material, here it is.
Oh.
And then I can just choose it here, or hopefully I can drag this. Oh yeah, and then, boop, there we go. That's how you do it. And it works the same in Unreal Engine.
Oh.
And that's what I wanted from the very start. And here it's just list all the materials. I can just full control of replacing whichever I want. So it does have it.
I am wondering, do the other meshes do anything?
Which other meshes?
Are you okay that way? Okay.
I did create a low poly collision version, but maybe it's not going to do collision, but it's just going to measure. But maybe it doesn't need that. It could use the high poly mesh to determine stuff. That is no problem. Anyway, I'm figuring stuff out here. Nice.
Nice. Oh. I guess I have been somewhat enthralled more on what you are doing and concentrating on it more than what I'm trying to do myself. So my debugging has been very slow and kinda...
That's fine. I mean...
But
after all...
It's kind of more important for you to learn stuff anyway, so...
Yeah, I guess that's right. I mean, that was the point of we doing the collab, so...
Yeah.
I want to see how
Okay.
everything online see.
Ah.
That was great. I wanted... Oh yeah, I see why. I wanted it to... let me fix the materials. As I said, should I name everything in a logical sense here? Because now I name the material the exact same thing as the object.
Do you use the material in multiple different tiles?
Well, considering it will use different textures, but with the transition texture, it could reuse the material.
We could also use the same material, but use script to change the texture on different tiles.
I mean, I would too. So in that case, it really only needs one material.
Depends on the approach.
I mean, in that case, we could just have, as I created shaders here, we have the shader, and then I can just have one material, which is like the...
It works!
The tile material, which is the one that all of the tiles can use, and then you just swap out the two textures on it.
I have a green tile mesh thing. Well, multi-mesh tile thing. Generated now.
And these materials.
Yippee!
Are you spawning things?
I'm not only spawning things, I'm spawning things in a two-dimensional array.
That is king. I shouldn't really have your stream. No, I think I had your stream open. You should have forgot which tab it was on.
Got lost somewhere.
Yep. I'm losing all the tabs. If only... Oh yeah, I see. It is green.
Yeah, so as we see, there's nothing, and then it sets the green thing up.
Oh yes, it starts with nothing and then generates the green thing.
It
Beautiful.
creates a tile for each of them, and it keeps them in memory in the tile map. So technically, if I make a script in the tile map for it to change one of the tiles, it will do thing. But I can also make it so that we select something and then raycast the specific tile and tell it to be some other type of tile. It would then change to that type of tile, and then we could save the end result as a binary. Is it JML? Anyways, as binary that we can then load to be the map.
Yeah. You are very smart, you think.
In this, I do need to say that most of this comes from someone else's smarts.
Well, you were smart and found they're smart.
I guess.
Yeah, the only issue with these tiles, which I'll have to figure out.
There is this thing or person or whatnot called who
I actually need to find who it is. Okay, so cat-like coding, apparently.
Oh, for
And they have
coding like a
made this
cat.
neat hexagonal tutorial for Unity,
Nice.
where they make a hexagonal map mesh generator. Something like Civilization and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the neat thing is that they teach how you can manipulate meshes in Unity.
That sounds like something that can be very useful.
Yes. Although with more refined models and whatnot, you don't really want to do this. You want to play with the bones of the meshes.
Yeah, that sounds perfect actually.
Because playing with the singular, well, essentially singular nodes is gonna be pretty. Well, I suppose you can play around with it, but bones just make things so much easier and faster to work with. And then they play around with things like movement and pathfinding on the hexagonal grid and whatnot. Very neat tutorial. Should really continue that at some point. But yes, that's now a thing.
Progress.
I suppose next I should start doing the thing where we actually can edit the thing.
Do.
So you had some sort of ID system for the tiles.
Yeah, just a random number per tile. Well, it's not random, so...
Yeah. Do we want to use that to identify the tiles, or...
The start at least, but if you have some better idea.
I mean, a way would be if we just give the tile map a list of all the tiles, and then it would kind of auto set them numerically according to the spot where they end up in the array. Kind of auto ID themselves through that.
Doesn't matter for my so the basement still doesn't have enough oxygen there, so I got such a headache that I had to take a walk outside. Wait, well, where are you, Tugabox? What kind of basement are you in?
Doing something in their basement.
Trapped in a basement.
Is it like underhouse basement or a separate basement? I think our household has a separate basement, but I don't know how common basements are in Finland. Like
in building basement.
Yeah, that's... the place... Maybe we should ignore the collision meshes, actually. I don't know. Hmm.
Actually does bring to mind a thing we do need to still wonder and ponder. What and how do we decide what happens when the tank, the vehicle is driving over water?
Well, in the original game it drowns.
Well, does it do that in the game we are
Well,
observing, or
yes, in the game, the observed game, it does happen, and
okay?
so the water acts
No.
as the barrier, so you can't escape the world.
Yeah, I was just like wondering that does it like stop like in the wall, or does it just drive off and drown and whatnot? And how do we handle that?
Well,
I mean, I guess that is rather easy to handle actually.
it would be a tile that when it transitions from sand to water, that goes deep, and then it just goes down into the water until
So we don't give those tiles hitboxes. We just give them visual mesh,
no, I don't think.
and the object when the vehicle's thingy goes deep enough, it's considered dead essentially.
But it's not physics based.
What do you mean?
The vehicle it's just running into and it just checks how far down the ground is below it for the visual position. So
our cosmetic thing will do that already on itself, right?
yeah, the cosmetics handling the position of it, the height of it.
And we can just check from that position if it's deep enough.
Yeah. So it would, but then but it still would need ground to check against. So
we can have some sort of ground, like universal ground at the quote-unquote bottom of the sea.
I mean, sure. It's an under-house basement, but it's not a basement of my house. I was in someone else's. Are you being kidnapped? It's a grid, but unfortunately it has this grid pattern to it. I tried to create these edges so it would clip into itself, so it wouldn't leave any gaps. And also, instead of extending the polygons, because then you would have the awful clipping effect on it. But due to this, it creates a shading here. that I don't want. It is supposed to be a sharp edge, so it shouldn't really take that into consideration, but I guess it is. So it does create a visible grid on the tiles, which looks interesting, but unintentional. I don't want it. Well, it would be quite inconvenient if I was kidnapped. Yeah, it would be.
I suppose it's kind of the kidnapper to let you have the phone and the stream open.
Well, I mean, you're watching Pon, of course, you can't interrupt that. Oh, this is just...
I'm guessing that has something to do with how the shadows are being calculated.
I guess the tiles wouldn't cast shadow. You know, wouldn't that make sense that they wouldn't cast shadow? Because they would cast shadow on whatever is below them. Kinda.
Yeah, but do they then cast shadow on themselves, or is that surface mapping thing?
So it's not shadowing. I just disabled that, so...
Okay.
So it's probably
And
just...
it's not the texture.
No, it shouldn't be the texture.
Okay.
I could, you know...
I'm mostly asking so you consider it, and
I could, like...
Yeah.
Disable the texture. Wow. There you go, no texture. So without texture, it still has this thing. It also has this one selected though. So without textures, it still has this effect. So that is, yes, it must be with this thing. And I could remove it, but then there could be an infinitely thin gap between the tiles. Also, it's very shiny. I want this effect on the sand, but it doesn't do it. Sure, why does it here? Because it should do it like this. Shiny sand. What's that? Beautiful. I need the camera close, I guess. Does it feel like it's off? That's that rotation.
By the way, what's the tiles cross section in distance?
1 unit? No, what is it?
Okay.
Half a unit.
Okay.
The vehicle's 1 unit.
Then I will go here and 0.5 F needs to have the point and not the... I guess around quarter hour 2 I will start to head towards
Yeah,
the
you have things that you had to do today.
Yep.
Why is the camera off to the side, by the way? Tiles are not supposed to be off to the side, I think. No, the tiles are off to the side. Wow. Are they? Oh yeah, they are. That's why. Camera is not off to the side, it's just tiles that are.
Imagine that.
Yeah, something was off. There we go, now it's straight on looking on him. So if I were to remove okay, let's first expand the tiles. Do.
Now it creates a smaller chunk of tiles.
Ooh. Tiles in the
because-
correct size.
Yeah.
So there we go. So I have this area to test on. So if I were to update the mesh to remove that overlapping part and export that instead. And then that it removes all the separation between them. Now it looks big, and look at how beautiful this is. This is a tile set I can be proud of. So it is those overlapping pieces. But the thing I'm worried about without the overlapping pieces, of course, I mean, because it is floats. Floats are not accurate, so they cannot, maybe at some places, not exactly be placed correctly. And then, I mean, that's why I'm using half, actually, because half is a valid float value. And instead of using like a tenth, because that's not a valid float value. So all these steps it should do is it should be valid in float, and it shouldn't leave any gaps.
So how is the float inaccurate in that sense?
A float can only work in powers of 2. You can have half, a quarter, you can have 3/4, but you cannot, and you can only write a fraction that is something divided by a power of 2. A whole number of power of 2, of course. So a third you cannot write. So a float cannot store a third. It can store an estimate of it though.
Okay. I don't totally understand this answer, but I do understand the logic now. Thank you.
Yeah, as long as you get logic, yeah. There is a float calculator if you search for the beautiful name IEEE754. For floating point. Now you can search for floating point converter, but it's called IEEE754. That is the 32-bit float. What float size is Unity using?
I do not know.
Unity float size. Well, I guess this. No, it should be used at 32-bit. I think because you have a double.
Float or C++ float.
Because I assume because it has a double. Does it have a double?
I think
Yeah, it
C#
does.
has double.
It does say it according to RBX on Unity discussions that a float is 32-bit and a double is 64-bit. So I will assume it works in 32-bit then. So yeah, so here you can just type values. If we do type a third in decimal representation, I should probably show this on screen maybe. Great idea, right? Here we go, another pick. Float converter. And this one is cropped out, doesn't exactly need to be that. And also not in the center of the view either. And I can zoom in to make it larger too, I guess. Don't really need a side panel, but doesn't matter, we got everything here. So this is the actual number I want to represent, but this is the closest it can represent. Which stops being accurate over here. Because what it has to do to represent a third is that it so this is half, quarter, eighth, 16th, and so on. So it needs to select every other one. But it only has so many bits, so it gets inaccurate here. You can choose with or without this. It is slightly more accurate with having slightly above than below. This is why you get these errors like 1 plus 2 isn't fully accurate because it can't really represent these numbers either. But it can represent half. Half it works. And it can and whole numbers no problem, but it will eventually break. Here it can't represent half anymore. It is at some so whatever that is. Where's the
Would it not then make sense to scale everything up a bit?
No, it doesn't change anything. It's because you have the same range. You know, yeah, like so you can only represent half values up to this number. You can go one step higher to this number, but after this it can no longer represent half because it's too big to represent halves. So now it goes in whole numbers.
Yeah, but
so if we were to double the size of the tiles, you can therefore reach twice as far until it gets the same problem going in steps by 2 instead. But it's still proportionally the same distance. It doesn't change anything.
Yeah, but I mean that if beneath, if it can't represent smaller values accurately.
No, it can represent half accurately because it's a fraction of 2.
How about smaller than that?
It can quarter, and everything that is something divided by 2 to the power of a whole number.
1/8.
Yeah, quarter, 1/8, 3/4, all that numbers can represent accurately.
But if one of our tiles is
All
10
tiles,
meters across,
all tiles
then-
are half a unit, half a meter across on the width. Yes.
If our tile is instead of a half a unit,
Yes.
it is 10 units, then that 5 units would be totally accurate, and then 1/10 would also be totally accurate.
10
because they are
units
on
would not be
positive
a
floats.
10 units would not be a good number because it's not the power of 2. But 16 units
But they are all positive. They
it doesn't matter.
All of. So if you now put there 10.5, it's not gonna be accurate to 10.5.
Well, it is, but I'm not sure what no, like change
That is
it.
exactly what I mean.
No,
But
I
if
don't.
you
I don't
then
know what you
place-
mean. I don't know what you mean because the tile size is a half a unit. What do you want to do with the tile size?
So, as an example,
Yeah,
if the tile is 10
10 units wide.
long,
Yeah,
then 1/10 of it would be accurate, and 1/20 would be accurate.
yes.
Unlike if it's 1 unit long, and then the 1/10 will not be accurate.
That is true. Oh, there we go. What is that?
That's what I meant.
Yes. Okay.
Oh,
now
I
I understand what you're referring to. Okay. That is true. I don't see it. We don't need it, but it's true.
I don't necessarily say that we need to do that. I'm just saying that that would be a thing and an approach.
That is
we don't need.
true. That is true. You do get a drawback of because if you do, okay. So now I understand what you're after, or what you were talking about. I meant to say. Yeah. So that is the benefit of going with a size of a whole unit of 10, because of course you get these 10 units you can work with with exact numbers. The drawback of that is that you cannot reach as far because...
Do you know how game makers go around that?
I mean, you can just use a double in that case, or use different segments.
No. The player is the center of the unit.
That works. And you moving it.
It do work.
That works. That actually does work. 3 almost out of points. I can't choose that game. Good, Vanessa. Stop bullying me. But yeah, so but yes, so the longest distance we can reach in this before we start is before it can no longer write tiles from the origin, and well, this is the number. Well, yes, no, this is the number full units. So 8 million, over 8 million units from the center, so 16 million tiles from the center. So that should be good amount, I think.
Then again, if you do make your FPX models such that they have standardized edge locations, essentially, though, that might start looking a bit odd.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that it would still auto point the vertices to the same spots.
Oh, I'm confused. I do not know what you're referring to now.
Or is
the tiles are exactly
but
half a unit.
As I understand it, Unity uses floats to render things, and that's why if you go too far from the center, it starts to bug out because it can't represent the location accurately enough.
Yeah, but we're talking about 16 million tiles from the center.
Yeah, but I mean
that's when it starts going to...
If we have the micro accuracy limitation, it will start.
I mean, that is true, but
around a bit.
But still, we're not going to have such large maps anyways. It's not going to be an issue.
It's besides the actual point anyways.
Yeah.
Fair enough, yeah. I am once again speaking about hypothetical.
Yeah, I do like to talk about that stuff too, but you do too, and then we just spin out into crazy topics.
I feel like it's part of how I learn things.
I guess that's fair. But I do have the idea that I want to make a game where it's not using a single float. Everything is based on full integers. Because I wanted a world that has an accuracy down to 10 micrometer.
I guess first question I have is what for?
The idea was, in this case, a racing game. And the reason why I want to use integers is because the resolution is always the same regardless of the size of the number. I did measure this. If I use a 32-bit integer, which has a size of 2 to the power of 31. Wait, 2 to the power of 31. That's how you type it. That's the largest number.
I almost feel like if you are going to make a racing game that is based on something like that, I would almost argue it would make some more sense to have the driving math use some sort of functions to calculate wheel positions and frictions and whatnots and heights and deep-a-daba.
Well, yeah.
where you'd have a map. It would base all that on, and the map would have points that would then get fed into the method.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, sure.
I haven't engineered the thing, so I'm just speaking out of my kind of ass here to degree.
I'm not sure
like,
what that was relevant to what I said, but
I suppose this is just how I would approach the problem.
I'm not sure what the problem is, though. But okay, that's where I'm lost. What problem are you trying to approach?
Accuracy, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at it from. This is just an idea I have. I like the idea of having a consistent resolution across the whole unit, regardless of its size. I don't see any problem with accuracy of using floats in a racing game because most racing game does that, and they seem to be fine. I just like the idea of doing it fully.
Okay.
It's not something I'm going to do. It's more of a thought idea.
Okay.
And if I do use a resolution of 10 micrometer as the smallest step, and I make let's see, I did all the calculations. That is the resolution I use. I use a 32-bit integer, which is the standard size, which also have a 32-bit float, which is typically standard. And then that means that that's 20. Yeah, that's. And if I calculate that, how far away from the. So you can reach like 20. Yeah, that's why I picked 10 micrometers, because that's 21 kilometers from the origin of the map. Because that will fit in the largest racetrack I know of, which is the Nürburgring. Which is like 10 kilometers from the origin, I think, or something like that. Because otherwise I would only get 2 if I went with, I think, a 1 micrometer resolution. But a 10 micrometers resolution is still for a position of the vehicle on the track. And if you compare that to using a float with where the base is a meter for one stands for 1 meter, and you have fraction stuff. Float does have higher accuracy closer to the origin and lower accuracy further away from the origin. If I did then take the map like Silverstone. I just picked that at random. And then in the area float has a higher accuracy than my integer is within the track's path, like where you don't drive. But outside of that, my integer has a higher resolution where you actually have the cars. And of course, the further out you go from the track, my integer is relatively higher and higher resolution compared to the float, because the float is the one losing resolution. Of course, until you reach that limit, because then the integer cannot no longer represent any numbers. Then the float has higher resolution, but you're not supposed to be that far out. It's a world that's 40 by 40 kilometers, 4 by 4 Swedish miles. That is a huge world for a racing game. It's for a track-based racing game. It's not open world or anything.
Hello, Reko.
But yeah, Swedish mile, also known as.
Spam.
There's a Finnish one.
Someone is checking Bonbon's quotes.
Oh yeah. Oh no, what a naughty idea there, Toolbox. Undressing the pair. And not even it's like a pair with a dress next to it.
I do also have quote system, so if I say something odd or strange or funny, well, making a clip is also referable, I guess. sleeping or something? No, it's working. Oh yeah, but I haven't done that yet. Didn't I do it? Didn't it work once?
I thought we tested that. Yeah.
That works, okay.
You have to check the...
I guess I still need to work on that thing.
Yeah, did you enable shared chat on the other one?
I am pretty sure I did.
It's easy to kill everyone, they're crying. That's a quote. That's a quote for sure.
Yep.
And can you do this as well?
Yeah, well,
Nothing.
damn.
Is that
Shared chat is not wanting to work today, it seems.
No, I wrote this in your chat, so...
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay,
I
so you
haven't
don't have a
opened that.
word search function then?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't show me anything, so... But yeah, that's the silly things I've been thinking of when I'm thinking about stuff. Making a game fully in integers. The problem is that I can program everything in integers, it will still render in floats, which is just such a waste. But since everything is calculated in integers, there are benefits of calculating in integers, and that is because the floats, aside from their inaccuracy, because it gets worse, when you do divisions, the results are different depending on what hardware you have.
Interesting. How does that work?
I don't know, because that has been an issue with physics-based games, because the results are different depending which device they run on, therefore they cannot have cross-platform multiplayer. It's a tiny difference, but it adds up over time. I mean, I don't think that's a big issue, because they just have to, when you run the physics, you have a master host, I guess is the correct term, who then sends over the position of everything. Because which it only does to determine the player's positions, right? So even if it does get out of sync, it will sync it up again. But anyway, that's not going to be an issue. Well, the division is, that's probably not an issue with float. That could be an issue with division in itself, and that could still result in an issue with integers. But that can be resolved by making your own division function without using division. Building your own division function so it runs the same on all hardware. But as I said, that's aside from float and integer though. Because for example, if you want to divide by half, that's a bit shift. Right? If I type number, which number should I type? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go, that's some random bits. No, yeah, that works. And then I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 divided by 2. Yes. Then yes, that is correct. It's a bit shift. So all the bits have shifted to a lower value if divided by 2. And that is a lossless division. But that's not what they... So... Well, it is a lossy division if you have an odd number, of course, but aside from that... but the problem is the division function is that it does not take that in consideration. So divided by 2, I don't think you get an accurate lossless division from, because it does... Because it has a more function that is supposed to work for all numbers you divide by. It doesn't do any special case of certain numbers. If I understood it correctly, like even dividing by 1 gives an incorrect number. As far as I understood it. It's just that
51
the
or 0.
so 1 divided by 1 does not result in 1. However, the inaccuracy is so small that it will not store that inaccuracy, is my wild guess then, that it stores it as 1. I could be wrong. The person who explained the whole issue with how hardware runs, specifically divide differently, didn't go into the exact detail of how all of that worked. But that 1 divided by 1 is not 1. Is another function apparently does not even ignore doing a division if divided by 1 is also interesting. It's just extra checks you have to do, I guess, to be fair.
I feel like it's better I leave at this point
Yeah.
before another tangent appears.
That is fair, that's fair. It's been interesting talking. I didn't do any code writing there, but
It worked. Oh, you fixed the... Oh yeah, now... Okay.
Yeah, I did remove the overlapping, which hopefully is not going to cause an issue.
I wonder if vertical overlaps would have the same problem.
I could just extend the ones, but then you're going to have polygon fighting. Or if I extend them ever so slightly, but that's going to add ever so slightly shaded edges. So...
Oh. Problems.
But yeah, I mean, it works. You can... There was this indentation there, which are 4 tiles. I could make it on 1 tile too, but it's bigger if I make it 4 tiles.
Next time I will need to deal with the editor building then, I guess.
Yeah, sounds good. And I need to test the vehicle. Oh, there's the vehicle.
I am guessing you haven't built the directional movement. Oh yeah, but for us it's simpler than... Yeah. Or is it? Because the movement needs to be relational to where the vehicle is facing. It gave me a bit of a headache.
But yeah,
Yes.
that's how it's big and I saw it, but I mean, it should be the size of... It's because I think the tiles are smaller than it's supposed to be. It should be the size of 4 tiles, so... Well, it's not as wide as 4 tiles, but... Well, not like as fully long, but yeah. It should be within 2 by 2 tiles.
But thank you for the collab and
thank you
see
too.
you next time.
Yes, I will... I was thinking, should I continue? But I don't know what I could do. That's the thing.
Questions?
Do people want me to continue? But I want to be able to, because I do want to make so that the vehicle can check what's below it and adjust its height and angle and stuff, but I do not know how to do that. That's the thing. So
I mean, the raycast can return height value pretty easily,
yeah,
like distance value.
that's basically I want the what's the height is what I'm after.
There is an API for that.
Yes, I don't know. I don't want to go through that on stream unless you're helping me.
Fair enough.
So
Maybe we have done enough for today.
yeah, yeah.
But
I should.
have a good evening.
Yes, you too. Bye, Jannertto.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Bon Bon.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Jannertto is gone. Let's raid his panty drawing. What is going on in chat? Triggerbox can be more official unaware tracker. I didn't mean to shoot you, Triggerbox. You just got in the way. So the I wonder if whoa, Triggerbox is coachy. So now Triggerbox wants to address coachy. Triggerbox likes good fanboy coachy. Whoa, Triggerbox is coachy. That's the only one. No, there's 3 of them apparently. Don't look at chat, I'm reading chat. But quote, Triggerbox will fangirl all over the place. We got all 3 Triggerbox coachy quotes now in a row. That is crazy. That is actually not crazy. They're actually perfectly normal that that would happen. That is because those were those 3 quotes were found, like requested one after another, and then all the 60 Triggerbox quotes have been remaining within the last 1,000 quotes. And considering Monhetsa is constantly requesting the Triggerbox quotes over and over, they will remain inside the last 1,000 quotes. And will never be pushed out, so they will remain. So I guess the drawback of the system is that they will remain their positions in their order. So